Hey all you super players out here, Ben Lodice aka 5 Buck Lunch here, coming at you with a fun little deck I put together. We've been playing it at locals. It's a tier 1, probably not, but it's a lot of fun to play and it uses some cards you don't get to use that often. So it's a Jiren Shackles of the Past deck. For those of you who don't know, Jiren is a rare out of the new draft box. It has a very unique effect that is a lot of fun to work with and something we haven't really seen in the game before. So it's a 1-drop with barrier, 5k. Only one Jiren Shackles of the Past can be played in your battle area. When there's 10 or more battle cards in your drop area with 10,000 power at the start of your main phase, for the duration of the turn, this card gets plus 25k power, double strike, dual attack, and your opponent can't activate counters unless they place 2 cards from their hand in their drop area as an additional cost. So yeah, obviously this is a very powerful card if you can get to its objective. uh, you basically play it early, and then later in the game, you get this massive turn where you get this huge 30k double strike dual attack, and your opponent has a very hard time countering it. It's not enough to kill your opponent by themselves, so as you see, we're going to put some setup into where we have just this huge massive turn that we just one-shot our opponent with. It's also kind of hard to play because it has to be there at the start of your turn, so you can't play it in your main phase and then, discard a bunch of cards, combo with some 10Ks to get to the 10. You have to have the 10 when you start your turn. So basically how we're going to get that is we're going to use the Strike Force Ginyu Force cards. Uh, this is something that was meant to be played with the Frieza from set 4, I think it is, the one that negates card effects. But here we're going to use it, since they're all 10k power, with our Jiren in order to accelerate and hopefully get our Jiren on turn 3, if not turn 4. So to start off, we are playing 2 After Image technique, just easy negate. It's a way to stop your opponent and slow them down. 3 Gallic Cannon. This deck is a pretty fast deck, and you might have one open sometimes. You're not going to have 2 open very often. So this is just kind of in there to help slow your opponent down, especially if you're playing against U6. 4 Kaba's Awakening. So we're playing a mono red deck, and Kaba's Awakening is kind of a quasi free 10k for us. It allows us to increase our power and to put more pressure on our opponent. 2 is that all you've got? Excellent negate. I'm only playing red decks. 2 Frieza's Spaceship. So what this does is a field card. At the end of our turn, we're allowed to play 1 red Frieza's army card with an interest cost of 2 from our hand. And if we played a card, we draw a card. So any of our Strike Force cards, which we're going to use to swarm the board, or our Zarbon Hidden Potential, we can put all of these in play in the end phase of our turn and basically just accelerate playing characters on the board for our big pan play later in the game. So the things we can put on the board with Frieza's Spaceship are Zarbon Hidden Potential. Now sadly he's not a 10k, he's a 15k, so he won't count for Jiren. But when he's KO'd, you get to draw a card, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards as it gets minus 15 for the turn. So this is just a really, really solid card. You get free attacks with it, or your opponent has to KO it, basically. 4 of each of the Strike Force. So Strike Force, Birder, Guldo, and Raccoon. They all have separate keyword skills. So Birder has critical, Guldo has barrier, and Raccoon has double strike. And they all have the same effect of, when you play this card from your hand, if all of your battle cards are red and no other color, look it up to the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 1 red Ginyu Force with energy cost 2 other than Strike Force Birder, or whichever one you're playing, and play it. Then place the other cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So basically this is the driving force of our deck. Turn 1, we want to play Jiren. Turn 2, we want to play Frieza's Spaceship and start dropping Strike Force members. Then we'll have, 3 to 4 Strike Force members on turn 3, and we'll be able to just go off. 4 Blaze of Glory Sun Gohan. When you combo with this card, you can place the top 3 cards of your deck in the drop area. This just helps accelerates our 10Ks to the discard pile and allows us to go off faster with Jiren. 4 Super Combo Sideline Assist Bulma. So the reason we play this Super Combo is we want a Super Combo that has 10k power so it can count towards our Jiren total. And with our leader, which I'll show you at the end, you can get to 4 life very, very easily, so it's not very difficult to get the effect off. 3 Harmonic Energy Super Saiyan Vegeta. The reason we play this is not only is it a 10k combo, or a 10k card to count for Jiren, but it also allows us to play through ramp Gogeta decks. It allows us to kill the blue Veku and not let them ramp. 4 copies of Fearless Pan. So this is our top end. The idea is that we swarm with the Strike Force members and then drop Pan to give them all 5k and double strike. So it turns all our wimpy little 10k guys into 15k double strikers. 3 powerful Bond Ginyu Force. So what this does is it counts as Ginyu, Jace, Birder, Raccoon, Goldo in all areas. It doesn't really matter for us. The important thing is when you play or combo with this card, choose all other Ginyu Force in the battle area. They all gain 5k power for the duration of the turn. And then you can't use the auto skill of this card for the rest of the turn. So on our big go-off turn, this is going to increase all of our Strike Force members by an additional 5k. Hopefully comboed with the Fearless Pan 5k and Double Strike, making them all 20k Double Strikers. So it's just all these boosts compound on each other to give us one massive swing with our Jiren and our Strike Force members. For our leader, we're playing Son Gohan. Active main once per turn, burst 2. If your opponent has 5 or more life, deal 1 damage to your opponent, and you choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. So a couple key things this does. 1, it forces our opponent to go down to 4 life with just our leader skill, which allows us to make much more easier for us to one-shot. Also, it bursts, which is really important because it allows us to get extra cards in our discard pile for our Jiren activation. Then when it's 4 or less, you flip it over and awaken, and the awaken side is Son Gohan and Goten, Brotherly Bonds. Auto Sparking 5, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. Once per turn, when one of your battle cards activates Alliance, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, 3,000 power or less, KO it. We're not using that effect in this deck, we don't have any Alliance. But we will definitely use active main once per turn, Sparking 5. Choose 3 cards in your hand, place them in your drop area, choose all your red and green battle cards. Then both this card and the chosen cards get plus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. So this just helps up even more with the swarming. So ideally, you'll play turn 1, Jiren. Burst with your Gohan, take him down a life. Turn 2, freeze a spaceship or a Strike Force member to get an additional Strike Force member. And then you'll burst again to take them down another life. Turn 3, if they're at 4, you can go for a Pan play. If you think you can get there, and if Jiren is activating on turn 3, you have your Pan play. Most of the time, turn 4 is when you're going to go off. So turn 3, you're probably going to play another Strike Force member, and then probably leave up mana for After Image or Gallic Cannon, something like that. So you'll play turn 3, you'll play a Strike Force member, so that's 3 total. Then your Frieza spaceship will activate, giving you 4 total, and both those Strike Force members will activate, giving you 6 total Strike Force members. Now, obviously, this is optimal. You're not always going to hit all your Strike Force triggers, but you should have at least 4 Strike Force members going into turn 4, on which turn 4, you should easily have Jiren activated by then, and you play your Pan. So on turn 4, we've got four probably 20k double strikers, 30k double strikers if you use your leader ability. In addition, you'll have a Jiren that's double strike, dual attack, 40k with your leader ability. And every time your opponent activates a counter, they have to discard 2 cards. So that turn, you should pretty easily be able to do 4 damage. The weakness of the deck, obviously, is things aren't always going to go that great. You're not always going to have your Jiren on turn 1, and things can get awkward. But yeah, the deck can edge out win surprisingly well for a deck that plays, the Strike Force Ginyu members. But it's a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun with locals at it. Definitely won some games. Is it tier 1? Probably not, but I figured I'd throw up a fun deck before we kind of buckle down before Nationals coming up next month. So yeah, go out there, give it a try. If you have any more ideas about the deck, let me know. I'd definitely look to improve it a little bit. And go out there, play some Super, have some fun. Please like, subscribe, and don't forget, once we hit 200 subscribers, I'm giving away a free box to anyone subscribed to the channel. So be sure you subscribe and go down and ring the bell.